Welcome to the Spiritist Companion podcast. My name is Yuri Castro, and I'll be your companion on this journey where we study, reflect, and put Spiritist teachings into practice. As usual, if you enjoy what you hear, don't forget to subscribe, to follow our pages, and most importantly, to send this podcast to someone else as well so we can spread the light together. And today, my dear friends, we're going to be talking about purity of heart. What does that actually mean? Because I think that when we hear that phrase, it's easy to picture someone who is maybe naive or someone who has never made a mistake, some kind of gentle perfection that feels more like an unreachable ideal than something we could actually live. But Spiritism has something much more honest and I think much more within reach to say about it. Allan Kardec, the codifier of Spiritism, on chapter 8 of the book The Gospel According to Spiritism, is going to tell us a little bit more about purity of heart, going back to the Sermon of the Mount that we find in Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God." Allan Kardec is also going to bring a passage from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, where some children were presented to our dear Master so he could touch them, but the disciples kept away with scolding words those who were being presented. But Jesus, that's what the Gospel says, was displeased and said to them, "Let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven is for those who are like them." Then Jesus added, "Verily I say to you, anyone who does not receive the kingdom of heaven like a child will not enter it." After that, our Master embraced the children, blessed them, and placed his hands upon them. And here, my dear friends, Jesus isn't talking about appearances. He is not talking about the person who seems good, who does the right things in front of others, who carries themselves impeccably in public necessarily. He's talking about this inner condition of the soul, what happens on the inside, when especially no one is watching. Purity is not perfection, and this is one point that I think it's very important for us to talk about. Be very clear from the start. Purity of heart, according to Spiritism, is not the absence of mistakes. It's not having never felt envy, anger, hurt, vanity, etc. Anyone who says they've never felt any of those things, I think it's probably fooling themselves. Purity is tied to something else, intention as well. Sincerity, simplicity, the absence of deliberate malice, a genuine desire to do good even when we stumble along the way. A pure heart is not a spotless heart. It's a heart that doesn't feed the dirt on purpose. Over time, through disappointments, conflicts, the small and large betrayals of life, we can even think, we harden. We don't always notice it happening, but it does. Unprocessed hurt can turn into resentment. This resentment can turn into distrust. Distrust can turn into a way of moving through the world where we are already bracing for the wound before it even arrives. Pride can disguise itself as self-preservation. Vanity can dress itself up as self-esteem, and suddenly we're quite different from who we were or from who we'd like to be. Not out of malice, simply because life leaves marks and we don't always know how to tend to them. Jesus also says, "Let the children come to me." And I think that's important. Allan Kardec tries to deepen that spiritually. The child, he says, is used as a symbol, not of naivete or immaturity, but of certain qualities that tend to fade with time. For instance, spontaneous trust, the ability to reconcile quickly, the absence of accumulated grudges, and emotional simplicity. The evolved spirit isn't one who recovers the innocence of childhood. It's one who reclaims that lightness, consciously now, carrying all the experience life has brought. And I think that's a beautiful thought, my dear friends. Purity isn't behind us in some childhood we've left behind. No, it's ahead of us. Something to be built, not something that was lost. There's a part in the Gospels that always catches my attention when Jesus was critical of the Pharisees, not because they were people without faith. Quite the opposite. They had a lot of faith. They followed the law rigorously. They prayed, they fasted, they gave to the temple. Everything looked right on the outside. The problem was what was happening within, the pride of the performance, the need for recognition, the hardness in how they treated those they consider beneath them. It's a portrait that I think can still resonate today. How many times do we do something good and then wait for acknowledgement, for instance? How many times does religiosity serve more to build an image than to transform what's inside? It's something we all need to watch out for ourselves. Something that Spiritism makes very clear is that God doesn't only observe our actions. Our intentions matter a lot, and that cuts both ways. On one hand, and I think it's very comforting that a small gesture made with genuine love can carry enormous, quote-unquote, spiritual value. The visit to a friend who's struggling, or the gentle silence when you could have snapped back, the forgiveness that cost something but was given anyway, all of that counts. On the other hand, it's also challenging because grand external displays of spirituality, when they come from vanity or a need for approval or something else like that, they lose much of their inner worth. In the end, it's not about what it looks like, it's about what it truly is. Kardec returns to pride repeatedly when he talks about purity, and it's not by accident. Pride, my dear friends, is sneaky. It doesn't announce itself. It shows up disguised, sometimes as principles, as self-respect, as standing your ground. And it builds an armor around the heart that makes forgiveness harder, feeds competition, and walls the person off from other people's perspectives. True humility, not performative false modesty, but a genuine willingness to acknowledge our limits and keep learning always, is one of the most direct paths into inner purity. There's also a connection that Spiritism points to that I find very true, genuinely true. The more the heart purifies, the lighter the conscience becomes. And that's not a coincidence, my dear friends. A great deal of our emotional suffering comes from internal friction. The conflict between what we do and who we want to be, the weight of hurts that were never resolved, or the tension between the image that we project and the image that we actually feel, of what we actually feel. But as the heart becomes more honest, more simple, cleaner of those tensions, the peace that emerges isn't passivity, it's clarity, it's lightness, it's the feeling of being more whole. So what are some real life situations that we can see this applied? Doing good without needing to be seen is one that I already talked about, because there's a real difference between helping someone because we genuinely want to help and helping someone because it may feel good to be the kind person who helps. Both can look the same from the outside, really, but on the inside, they're quite different. Cultivating purity means learning to tell them apart and slowly and steadily moving towards the first. We can also think with words. Yes, verbal cruelty is one of the most common forms of impurity of the heart if we think about it, and one of the least acknowledged as well, especially nowadays with the internet, with social media and everything. It can come in a sharp piece of sarcasm or a comment that diminishes, a way of speaking that leaves the other person feeling somehow smaller. Sometimes we do this so naturally, without awareness, that we don't even register it as a choice, but it is a choice. Forgiveness as well. I'm not going to make this sound easy. Forgiving is hard. We talked about forgiveness in this podcast many times before, and I think we'll talk many times again, especially when the injustice was real. Spiritism doesn't ask us to pretend that we weren't hurt or to simply accept everything without discernment. But holding on to hatred, my dear friends, that state of keeping someone on trial inside your own heart, contaminates the one who holds it far more than the one being held there. Forgiveness is in large part an act of inner hygiene, of purity, of purifying ourselves. Honest with ourselves is another one too. There are people who present a very serene version of themselves to the spiritual world on social media, at the center, with friends, while sometimes on the inside they're exhausted, confused, carrying things they've never even named. Purity includes this too, being truthful with yourself, acknowledging what's weighing on you, asking for help when you need it. But let's be honest, nobody wakes up one day with a pure heart, finished and ready. There's no arrival point like that. It's daily, quiet work made up of small choices that leave a trail. The thought you decide not to entertain, the gentler response you gave when you could have been sharp. Each of those choices shifts something inside of us. Slowly, imperceptibly, yes, but it does. So how can we apply this to our day-to-day? First, let's watch our own thoughts. What we feed inside will influence our heart. Number 2, let's try to avoid acting based on pride. Humility helps protect the soul. Number 3, let's do the good discreetly, because not every good needs to be seen. Number 4, let's work on forgiveness, because resentment can contaminate the heart. And number 5, let's be honest with ourselves. Self-knowledge can help strengthen this inner transformation of our hearts. My dear friends, I don't know where each one of you are in this process. Maybe feeling like your heart is heavier than you'd like. Maybe some of you are carrying old wounds that you're not quite sure how to put down. Maybe wondering whether you show on the outside actually matches what you feel on the inside. Wherever you are, that's your starting point, not your finishing line. Spiritism doesn't require us to arrive perfect. It requires us to arrive honest. Every time we choose kindness over harshness, humility over pride, sincerity over appearance, a false appearance, something moves inside us, my dear friends. Little by little, yes, the heart gets lighter. And the lighter it gets, the more clearly we're able to see in ourselves, in others, in life, what actually matters. Thank you so much for being with me today. This was episode 52 of the Spiritist Companion podcast. As always, I do hope that this was helpful, even if just a little, and you can go and apply all of that outside in the real world. I'll see you next Monday for another episode of this podcast. And until then, please remain in peace, cultivate good thoughts, and keep walking step by step in the construction of a heart that is lighter and more illuminated. With fraternal love, your Spiritist Companion.